Transformers 1, don't have much to say. Don't really care about Transformers.
There's another Transformers?
There's another Transformers, yes.
The film is said to focus on the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron? What the heck?
What?
All right. Are they gay?
Because serious, like
Megatron, I like you. Megatron, do you want to go out with me sometime?
Oh no!
Ooh-woo.
Alright, shut it down.
Hello there.
Don't have a good day. Have a great day.
Talk to me, Goose.
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
Why so serious?
World.
I could do this all day.
Are you watching closely?
Guys, we're a film podcast. We're a Christian.
We're gonna take
film
that as the
podcast.
intro. Intro, welcome to part 2.
Intro!
Yeah! Welcome, everybody, to the One Night Film Podcast. I'm your host, Seth Bosberg. We are pumping it up today. I don't know why we're so hyped, but we are. Welcome back to part 2 of our top 24, no, just 2024 predictions for the new year. Starting it off strong. We got the boys back. And we're here to talk about part 2. Yeah, if you haven't listened to part 1, that basically covers January through July of 2024 releases. So we're going to hop in now. We're also going to be talking about TV shows at the end because we got a few of those to cover. We also missed a few, I think. Zach reminded me after we stopped recording last time about Mickey Mouse. So Mickey Mouse, the original character,
technically Steamboat Willie.
That was Steamboat Willie, but we know him as Mickey Mouse. The copyright, what is it?
Copyright.
The copyright to Steamboat Willie,
ran out.
the original Mickey Mouse.
Thank you, Will. The copyright to Steamboat Willie ran out after 100 years, I think, is the rule. And so now it's free use for anyone, and Disney can't sue them for using Mickey Mouse, at least the original character, not necessarily the Disney character. But there is going to be 2 horror movies coming out. Same with Winnie the Pooh that happened a couple years ago. Or was that just even last year? That was last year. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So now there's 2 movies, 1 horror game. The game is Infestation Origins. These are just names, no research put into what they're going to look like. But then there's also Mickey's Mousetrap for a movie, and then an unannounced movie by a director who made a horror parody of The Grinch. Again, not too keen on horror movies, but that's the story. Those are coming out this year because Mickey Mouse is no longer able to be claimed by Disney. So that's happened. What a way to start off the episode.
Yeah.
I think what I have to say right off the bat, and we probably talked about this with Winnie the Pooh, is it has to go straight to horror. Like, no one's making creative, cute TV shows like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with this character. They go straight to horror, and I think that's interesting and very telling. And I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I mean, it's kind of classic to try and take like a childhood memory or something, kind of horror-ify it. I mean, you think of creepy stuff, and it's like chimes, like some sort of music box or something like that. You have teddy bears or like little dolls that just get, I don't know, horrorified. So I feel like it's kind of a classic play to put Mickey Mouse in a horror film. I'm not surprised by it, but I do wish that we would see a little bit more. Like, for me, I like funny movies. I wish we would see more comedy movies that would maybe play Mickey Mouse as a character, because I would love to see a classic comedy movie with Mickey Mouse as the main person just doing stuff that Mickey Mouse shouldn't do. But I think most people think of childhood stuff and they want to make it creepy because, well, it's so easy to do that.
Innocence easily transfers into creepy horror, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Just a brand. Apparently, Cillian Murphy just got the Golden Globe for Best Actor. I got that as a news thing. That's random. Is it Golden Globes going on tonight?
No one saw that coming. No, actually. I mean, apparently.
Okay, I don't watch sports, so I don't care. But anyways, I was just going to say, though, that I would pretty much just agree with Josh. And I think another reason that it's easier for people, or the reason that people choose horror, is because it's easy. Because historically speaking, horror films generally aren't super expensive to make because like they can have a pretty simple concept. What if there's this guy with a knife and he goes around killing people, and they don't have to be super complex. And I think that's the same reason why in the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey thing came out because it's like, again, it's like a pretty simple, and like when I'd seen the trailer, like that's a cheap film. They're basically just using Winnie the Pooh as like, what if Winnie the Pooh was scary? And same thing with like, I think it's going to be the case with Steamboat Willie or whatever, is because it's like, what if this Mickey Mouse character was evil or creepy or whatever? And it's just like, it's just an easier way to like make a profit probably, and so it's safer in that regard.
It's easy publicity too.
It's easy publicity because everybody knows it,
publicity.
or everybody has an idea and they know it. So it's like, but yeah, I do kind of like wish that people would be a bit more creative.
You know, I think just kind of with Winnie the Pooh and Mickey the Mouse now, it's kind of effective. It's an effective concept, I would say, in a way. Doesn't sound like it went well in execution for Winnie the Pooh, but when you turn something pure and innocent from your childhood and make it creepy and horror, you know, it makes you even more uncomfortable than the horror movie would have been if it was just some random guy or something instead.
Yeah, it's all about how you write the story, and we could probably do a whole episode on this, talking about the perversion of childhood innocence and kind of this, and Will brought it up, a cheap way to make these movies that don't really have a lot of depth. I don't think these fall into the same category as what Deacon and I talked about in our most popular episode ever, which is called Horror is Biblical? ? I didn't put the emphasis on that. So it's not like an in-depth what creeps us out. It's not Lovecraftian, that's super meta and all that. It's a cheap way to show the horrible ways to kill someone, pretty much, that it doesn't appeal to me, and I don't know that it appeals to many Christians. So
now that we're talking about the topic, I have a lot of thoughts about it, so I'd actually really enjoy doing an episode on that.
All right, put it on the list. Moving on, though. Actually, really quick, I'm throwing this in there. This wasn't a 2024 movie because it released at the very end of 2023, but my now fiance, Ellie, and I just watched Migration, the Illumination duck movie, and it was actually really good. It was, if I had to put an endorsement on something, it would be the Migration movie. It was pretty neutral, a neutral family movie, goofy, silly. I had a lot of good laughs, but it wasn't poop jokes every 30 seconds. It was really good. So throwing that out there, go see it if you haven't. It's a good laugh.
We take those. We take those.
ISS. This is one that I forgot to add to the list, and maybe isn't necessarily from August Beyond or whatever we decided. ISS is an interesting concept that I am going to go see. Probably not going to be a blockbuster, but it has the concept of the story idea is that nuclear war breaks out on Earth, and the multinational ISS, it's the International Space Station, has different nationalities represented on the ISS. And so they're getting this news from Earth that they can't get back to now because they're stuck on the ISS for like a month. But tensions flare because of the differences in nationalities represented on the ISS while nuclear war is destroying the Earth below them. I think it's an interesting concept. I hope it has a great story, but I'm interested in going to see it.
I actually saw the trailer for that, and yeah, I'd agree that it looks really interesting because it's a very interesting concept that you can do very well if you do it right. Because like, again, like I had like an interest in astronomy growing up, so that whole concept of like the ISS, which is very expensive and a lot of countries have to pitch together to work on it, and it has a lot of like very interesting politics that are related to that, and because it's about space, and so the idea of like what happens if there's a nuclear war, which there are contingencies for that because the United States has contingencies for everything. And I think like the way that the trailer was showing it was that there's supposed to be like maybe like hijacking it because the ISS can still be of purpose or use or whatever, but I think it could be a very well done story about like tensions and can you trust these people and what do we do when the world's being destroyed and when you're told to do this thing and you're in space, because that's the big thing is like this is basically a ship in space essentially, and like you're stuck there and you can't get back, and that seems like a really great way to do a really interesting story. So yeah, I hope they do it well, but who knows.
Since we were just talking about horror movies and stuff, I feel like this is the kind of idea that I'd actually like enjoy to go see. I guess horror or thriller movies just like this. The idea of like a nuclear fallout, it's something that's possible. It's definitely not going to happen anytime soon, I hope. When I say I hope, that's like an invitation to kind of let your mind play into some of the ideas of stuff that could happen. And I think that I'm going to go see this movie, and I'm stoked about it because it's just an idea that I think can be just played into so well. And I just love the idea of the movie. I'm excited.
Yeah, interesting concept. I think it could go hand in hand with the Civil War movie that we talked about last week. And what would something like that look like modern day? Because having that separation between people literally stranded and you can't do anything about war down below on Earth. That's just a modern concept that could be played out really well if the story's written well.
I agree. Yeah.
Kraven the Hunter. We actually talked about this last year, but it got delayed. And there's possibly a chance it gets delayed again. We don't know. A lot of these might get delayed because of writer's strike stuff. But Kraven the Hunter coming out again. First trailer looked interesting. I still like Aaron Taylor Johnson as a cast for Kraven. I think he plays it well. Zach does not, I don't think. But I'm interested. It's close to Madam Web. It's like Madam Web has more of a possibility to tie into the Spider-Verse, maybe bring some cameos in. Kraven is still kind of that distant Venom and Morbius and other characters just kind of doing their own thing, and yet still Marvel. So we'll see if it ties in at all. Maybe it's going to have another stupid post-credit scene like Morbius did. But Zach, why don't you like Aaron Taylor Johnson?
I don't know. I think there were just better guys who could have been cast. I think Jason Momoa would have been the ideal cast for Kraven, but then Jeffrey Dean Morgan also would have been pretty good. Just casting Aaron Taylor Johnson just seems like kind of just they wanted a generic action star type of thing instead. So, and the movie just kind of looks weird to me in general. I think they're straying a lot from the original origins of Kraven. I don't know much about Kraven already, but he eats a guy's face off, I guess, in the movie, and he's a cannibal, I guess, which isn't the original story at all. So I don't really expect this to do well. I expect it to probably do as well as Morbius, if I'm being honest. Maybe a little better.
Okay, so. Morbius did really well because of the memes. People went and saw it to see if it was actually as bad as it was, and to see like the memes of see if he actually said it's Morbin time, and actually the one that I still cannot believe they put in the movie is pretty much what's the super power ball, the
Kamehameha.
Yeah, he basically Kamehameha I can't say it.
Bless you.
He took a bunch of bats and then just animated them at the villain that. I'm sorry I butchered the explanation of that, but I still can't believe that they did that. Anyways, that's not the point.
Odd. I am also not a fan of Aaron Taylor Johnson because I don't picture Kraven the Hunter as a pretty guy. Okay, that makes me sound kind of gay because I'm saying Aaron Taylor Johnson is pretty, but what I think of
I know what you mean.
Kraven the Hunter, I don't think of Kraven the Hunter as some attractive actor. I imagine, I guess in any comic book that I've seen, I guess he's kind of decent looking, but especially in the Spider-Man 2 as well. He's not some nice chiseled Hollywood actor. He's a hunter, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. I wanted a cool character. I wanted someone who's he a dog. He's cool, you know? I wanted a hunter, not some scavenger like Aaron Taylor Johnson. He just
not a pretty boy.
Like a hunter to me. Yeah, no pretty boys around here.
Zach, you mentioned Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I didn't know he was that guy. I knew the face. I didn't put two and two together. I think the face would have worked really well for the character, but I still think that they could have done found a person who is built like The Rock, because that's kind of how he's portrayed in the games, in the comics. Just a massive bulk of a guy. That's kind of the point of Kraven. I think they could have done that. And Johnson isn't small. He's a bigger guy, but I don't think I lean towards your arguments of it doesn't really fit character completely.
I also just still think it's dumb that they're continuing these Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
it's kind of been working with Venom, but I don't think it's really been working with anyone else.
I know Disney Marvel and Sony Marvel have been in contention, but I think that these spin-off movies would do a lot better if they just roped it directly into Spider-Man and started building toward a Sinister Six or a alternate version of that. And I think they are. It's just very sidelined and it's watching. I'm not gonna say it's like watching the cheerleaders at a football game, because they put a lot of work into whatever they do. But if you're paying attention to one conversation that two sideline bench warmers are having while the whole football game is going on or whatever, that's kind of what Sony is like. It's it's still kind of interesting, but there's a whole game going on over here. That's way more interesting. Anyways,
we've also seen very big differences in what Sony wants versus what Disney wants.
Yeah,
It's obvious that Sony wanted Venom in Spider-Man No Way Home. with the after credits scene from Let There Be Carnage. But then Spider-Man No Way Home just had that after credit scene where he just ends up going back to his own universe without doing anything.
Well, yeah, they're trying. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but both the end credit scene from Let There Be Carnage and the Morbius post credit scene, where I'm not even going to get into it. Someone thought it was a good idea to use the forget me stick of No Way Home to get Vulture into Morbius's universe. I don't get it. I'm not going to get into it. It's so dumb. Moving on. Transformers 1, don't have much to say. Don't really care about Transformers.
There's another Transformers?
There's another Transformers, yes.
What?
Them things are coming out fully automatic right now. Like, they're just pop, 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 pop every year.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, and Scarlett Johansson, Keegan-Michael Key, Lawrence Fishburne, John Hamm. This one's actually stocked full of actors. But the only thing that has been released is pretty much a name. Yeah, so, at least that's what Google says, and we all know we can trust Google.
Yep.
Is this the animated one too?
IMDb also says
Is it animated?
I thought this one was animated now that I hear it.
Let me read it like Optimus Prime.
An origin story set on Cybertron, home of both the Autobots and the Decepticons. The film is said to focus on the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron. What the heck?
What?
Are they gay?
Because serious, like, no. It's because those have like a serious like history. I would call upon my friends.
I know relationship
nerd,
means other things.
Yeah. No, that's actually interesting. So it's probably going to focus on the war of Cybertron then, like basically everything that happens before the Transformers get to Earth. Seems like what it's going to be focusing on.
Megatron, I like you. Megatron, do you want to go out with me sometime?
Oh no!
Ooh-woo.
Alright, shut it down. Oh man. Let's talk about this cast really quick. And apparently it is animated because there's no way that they would get these actors to do a live action one. But Chris Hemsworth is Optimus Prime, Brian Tyree Henry is Megatron, and Keegan-Michael Key is Bumblebee. This seems so out of the blue.
Keegan-Michael Key.
I like him too, but he's kind of the Chris Pratt of these type of movies. He's just kind of there, and you're like, I mean, he does good, but why? So
that's kind of what I was thinking when I was watching Wonka. I mean, it worked really well for Wonka, a Michael Bay movie franchise. I don't know.
Well, I wonder if it is Michael Bay.
It's Josh Cooley.
Who's
Trans is forever Michael Bay.
Yes.
I think the original Transformers kind of they set the foundation for the rest of them. So everyone's expecting Michael Bay type of directing from all of them, except for Bumblebee. Yeah. Bumblebee was actually pretty good.
Saw 11?
Wow.
Another Y movie. I don't know about Saw, you guys. Like, that's another one where it's just an excuse to write about torture and blood and gore. And I don't know why they've made it go on this long. Unfortunately, there are that many ways to kill a human, and they've made it very glorified. So, not too keen on that, but that's coming out again. The one thing I have to say about that is that Tobin Bell has been putting in the work for that one. I've seen reviews of the movies, and just that that is his role, and he just keeps coming back for it. So, don't know if he's in Saw 11, but I don't intend to see it. Joker, Folie à deux, whatever that means. People are excited for this one because of how interesting the first Joker was, and adding a musical aspect to it with Lady Gaga is not a turnoff for a lot of people. You would think it would be, but that is what's going on. Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn, and there's going to be musical numbers in this. Now, I hope it's used better than it was in the Marvels, but I think it could be interesting for where the Joker story goes. Everyone really liked the Joker, the first one, because of the psychology of what the Joker was going through. And it did make him into a sympathetic villain and say, oh, his mother was dying, so he's justified in doing this. But it was deeper than that. But
he's still a psycho. He's still a criminal.
Yeah.
But I actually really appreciated the first Joker for various reasons. It wasn't a very it was a very dark and heavy movie to watch,
Mhm.
but there are a few aspects I enjoyed, and I'm kind of excited for this film because of that.
I think
Same reason.
it touches on a lot of like judging people before they like without any reason or by their looks or by their what they have or do or whatever. There is some merit to that. At the same time, we shouldn't lean too far into that into oh, it's all justified. Like everyone's right in their own mind. It's all relative.
Yeah.
But it did have a semi good tone of don't just judge people off the bat. Like one of the first scenes is Arthur on the bus and he's trying to make a little boy laugh, and that's all he wants to do. And the mother suddenly gets defensive and is like, "What? You creep! Why are you doing that?" And then she's not understanding to his situation of the laughing thing. But that was kind of tough to watch because you're like, why isn't she just more understanding? So there's some value to it. Take it with a grain of salt. But I would wonder what I'm wondering for this movie is where they're gonna go with the DC part of it, because the Joker movie could have been separate from DC. It could have just been an exploration of psychology with a different character that's not necessarily related to Batman. They related it to the Waynes and how rich tend to look down on the poor, whatever that message was. But then it ended with the Waynes going into the alley and getting shot, and somehow Bruce Wayne survived, whatever that story was. How are they going to move on from that? And are they going to develop that more? They're obviously bringing Harley Quinn into it, but I think that's what's interesting on top of the possible further psychological aspects of the story.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see if this is going to be a good film, because I know that Joker was like, I think like it was disliked by critics but like widely praised by audiences. I didn't go watch it, so I've heard a lot of very good things about it, but I'm just a little bit hesitant because the Joker film seemed like it worked well because it was a Joker film. It was focusing on the character of Joker and exploring that, and it seemed like the story itself was like, there you go, this is kind of his origin of sorts. So I feel like the Joker 2 sequel is a bit of a why film. I don't know, is the person who directed the first film the directing or producing this film as well? Do you guys know? Okay.
Yep, Todd Phillips is directing.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I don't know. It's just, I think that it could continue to be a good film. I'm just, sequels often have a tendency to be not as good. So we'll see. Maybe it'll do as well or even better, but yeah, I'm just a little bit hesitant to see how well it's going to do and how well it's going to be received.
The first Joker got a 69% with critics and 88% with audience. So it wasn't that big of a difference, but there was a lot of controversy of, is this going to stir up riots? Is this going to actually be a problem in our real world? But it actually didn't end up being much.
The main criticism, I think, of the first one was just mostly that it didn't need to be a DC movie. It was kind of just a dark, heavy psychological thriller that kind of just got the DC label on it. So
sure.
Moving on from that,
if it didn't have the DC label, it would have been lost among the millions of other movies made.
It would have been the one that some random person found later and was like, hey, this movie's really good. One of the ones that's out on DVD and stuff. But yeah, so I haven't seen the first one, but I think now moving on with this second one, with the fact that it's very psychological and we see a lot from his perspective, it makes sense how you could weave music into that and musical numbers, since it's from his point of view and his perspective, and he's crazy, so maybe he's just seeing and experiencing this stuff from his mind. So, and Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn. I don't know. It's okay, I guess.
Yeah. Well, she's a performer. Is she an actor? I haven't watched A Star Is Born, but people like that one, I think. So I'm not gonna say I don't expect a lot. I think she'll do fine, but whatever. These next couple are, I think all of these next ones are Y movies. We'll talk about it here. The next one up is Venom 3. Let There Be Carnage didn't do great.
No.
They made a Venom 3?
Josh is...
Or they're making a Venom 3? Or they're releasing a Venom 3?
They're making a Venom 3. Josh likes Venom.
Really?
I like Venom.
I liked the first Venom a lot. Second one, it was good. But this one, I do hear that they're bringing in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And that's kind of their big kickoff, because fans were begging for a third Amazing Spider-Man after No Way Home came out, because everyone realized that Andrew Garfield is perfect for Spider-Man, which Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man. And I hear that they're going to be putting him in this Venom. Now, this is just a hunch I got, and from people talking on Twitter and Instagram. It is not confirmed, I don't think. Is it? Venom 3?
No, it's just
Andrew
heavy rumor
Garfield?
and speculation.
Yeah. Google says the cast is going to be Andrew Garfield, Tom Hardy, Juno Temple.
Well, that's the Google cast.
Yeah, that is the Google cast. But I did. Everyone heard tons of rumors about Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I think there were plans. Like there was a team getting put together for that, and I think they're just putting all of the effort into the Venom 3. So I'm excited to see. Hopefully Andrew Garfield is in there because that would kind of bring back the Venom trilogy at this point for me, and I'd love to see it. But we will see, I guess.
Yeah, I've only seen the second one once, but I've kind of enjoyed both of them just for like dumb fun. So whether or not Andrew Garfield is in the third one, I think we'll still get dumb fun and a great performance from Tom Hardy again, playing both Eddie Brock and Venom. So yeah, bringing back Andrew Garfield would be legendary and cool to see him face off against this Venom, but I don't think it's going to happen. So,
What do you think of that, Seth?
We need to have an episode on nostalgia because Zach feeds on that nostalgia. I understand Andrew Garfield is a great actor and was probably the best Spider-Man and got really kicked in the butt by the script and the directors. There could be a fourth better Spider-Man. Not fourth better, a fourth Spider-Man who can do just as good if not better. I think by continually bringing back these three actors, we're not giving the possibility of casting someone new who could be just as good.
Timothy Chalamet.
I'm giving a lot of credit to Hollywood and their ability to do something that good. But I don't want to keep riding on the nostalgia train for the next 10, 15, 20 years and just bringing these characters back as old Spider-Man who have learned their lesson and can now do it better. Especially if they're just going to be replaced by CG doubles in half their shots. Like
bars.
That's going to happen with any Spider-Man actor, though.
But why do it to my man Andrew? No. I'm playing both sides of the coin there. No, you're right.
Because people can't web swing.
It's that true.
Really? No, actually, think about it. It's not necessarily that Andrew Garfield was the one web swinging, but think of I remember seeing the behind the scenes shot of Amazing Spider-Man 2 where they had the Brooklyn Bridge, or not the Brooklyn Bridge, they had a bridge in New York set up, and they had an actual stuntman swinging between different ropes, and it looked so cool because it was real. It's not CGI. Sorry. Nostalgia talk for another time. We'll see what Venom 3 has to offer. I expect it to not offer a lot. If they don't bring back a Spider-Man, if they don't bring anything into the mix. Same with Kraven the Hunter. I think it'll just be a mid Sony movie.
I think it's going to offer more than Madam Web and Kraven, but I agree it probably still won't be much.
Only because it's the third movie in a trilogy. Because it's building up
That's already half decent.
Half decent, yes. You're only saying that because you don't know exactly what Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter are going to bring. You've already seen Venom and Eddie Brock twice.
Yeah.
Gladiator 2. We were talking about Gladiator 2 in our Discord server, which you should join, by the way. We have good conversations there. Deacon, our good old Deacon, is actually kind of looking forward to Gladiator 2. I brought up the argument that it seems like something that doesn't need a sequel.
Wholeheartedly agree.
It's like what I said is it's like giving Braveheart a sequel. Yeah. Does it need it?
Or Inception.
Absolutely not.
Or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was such a great standalone movie. It had it was a Greek tragedy. It was like it was as if some professional Greek philosopher way back when wrote it. Like that's exactly what I thought of it when I watched it. And I'm kind of just a little sad when I heard that they were making a second one because my hopes for it are way too high based off of the first one.
Is Ridley Scott involved with this one?
I will look. I also wonder if it's going to lose the charm of being an old movie. Now, it's not an old movie. It was released in 2000, but I was just talking with a bunch of my coworkers who happen to be a good 20, 30 years older than me, and they're talking about people calling movies the classics, and it's movies released in the 90s before our generation was born, so that's kind of funny. But I would consider Gladiator a modern classic. It's older than me, so it's a modern classic. But it's got that charm of everything is real. There's not a lot of CGI and all that. The director is Ridley Scott. It is starring Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. That's different.
Paul Mescal is the main character, I think. So.
Yeah, but I just see Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal in here, and Josh goes, Pedro Pascal? Ooh, yeah.
Be down. Okay.
Yeah, just because an actor is involved in a production doesn't mean anything. Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay, unless it's Ryan Reynolds. Have
you seen Green Lantern? Have you seen Green Lantern?
Have you not? It's very much so Ryan Reynolds.
It's very Ryan Reynolds. It's not a good movie.
This is true.
Any thoughts on Gladiator 2?
I think this movie's gone through multiple scripts, if I'm not wrong. And I think one of the first few scripts involved time travel. So
I did hear about that.
I don't know if that's still the script they're using, but that kind of makes me nervous. So we'll have to wait and
No
see.
bueno.
At least it's Ridley Scott, so I have faith.
Yeah.
I have faith in him, but I am still very reserved on my excitement for the film.
Yeah, it's very interesting because there was a much early, like after Gladiator came out, there was an idea for a sequel, like pretty early on after it was not published, after it was released. I mean, that basically involved like the Russell Crowe's character, the Gladiator guy, basically be like sent back from death and as like an immortal warrior, and like eventually you see him in like the modern day, and there's like some weird purgatory stuff and afterlife things. Yeah, so I have no idea what this movie's going to be about, and honestly, I'm like, yeah, why? Again, it's just ultimately why. I don't really think we needed it. I think we could do better without.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe found out with everyone else that this movie was coming out, from what I heard. So that's kind of sad.
The only thing I can think of when I hear Gladiator is
Gladiator, 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 to fight with the...
Wait, imagine imagine the intro to Gladiator 2 is just ZAYDE Wolf. Gladiator! And you got the main character walking out like a superhero. Man, that would be funny.
I heard Gladiator, that song, for the first time from a Dude Perfect movie, or Dude Perfect video. So I would just expect whoever the Gladiator is in the movie to just start chucking basketballs. Can you imagine?
Oh, that'd be funny. Oh man. All right. Wicked Part 1. This is for all my theater nerds out there. Whoop whoop. Okay.
It's just you.
Wicked in a movie form. I haven't seen the show. I've heard some of the music. I know the story. I don't know how that translates to screen. Anyone else have any other insight onto that? I don't know. It might be one that just doesn't work well as a movie. It could thrive as a movie.
I like the sound.
Yeah, I'm just not sure.
Haven't seen it, though.
Don't know enough to care.
Bars.
It's got Ariana Grande, I guess, so...
That I feel like I'm compelled to dislike it.
Ooh.
Okay. If it's a musical and it has Ariana Grande, you cannot deny that Ariana Grande can't sing.
She doesn't.
She's a pop singer. I am obligated. I am morally obligated to dislike her if she's a pop singer.
We want country.
Whoa.
Talking about beer, girls.
No, because country is,
William.
especially the country rap stuff, is bad.
Country rap.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Josh,
don't remind me.
I know Ariana can sing. There's too many clips of her singing the wrong notes. She thinks she's being cool by singing alternative notes, and it's just the wrong notes.
I've seen those videos, and they're the funniest thing ever. I love it. I love it.
Jeff
Johnny
Goldblum's
Zack.
in this movie, apparently, too. So...
Oh, yes! No, just kidding.
It's the Wizard of Oz. So...
Oh, boy. Yeah, I
go.
think it'll be interesting, especially going to see it probably with my sister who knows musicals inside and out. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. This could be a flop, could be a really good one. It's also part 1, so that continues the trend of recently just making a 5-hour movie and cutting it into 2 movies. So TBD. This one should be interesting. Good for conversation. Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. I don't know how to say it. Rohirrim? Rohirrim. My bad. I'm not a nerd like most people.
Will just got called a nerd.
Ha! Fools! Little did you know that I'm actually a geek.
It's much better.
Have you seen that video where they explain like the difference between like a need and a gherk and like
a need and a gherk?
I need a gherk.
Nice.
Yeah, like have you seen like that video where like it's like that? I haven't watched it, but like I've seen that before, and I just find that really funny how there's like a difference.
Sure.
A dork. That's what it was. A need. Okay, so I'm a nerd, a geek, and a dork. There.
Let's give it up.
Sorry. Okay, continue.
Gotcha. Here is the IMDb summary. The untold story behind Helm's Deep, hundreds of years before the fateful war, telling the life and blood-soaked times of its founder, Helm Hammerhand, and the King of Rohan. Helm Hammerhand sounds like a dumb superhero from a parody comic.
This is an original story. Or not,
okay, but
it's a story.
Did he write a story that didn't get as popular as the others, or is this from like his Bible of Middle Earth that just is everything about Middle Earth, from languages to dresses to language to all that stuff?
It's based on a story told in the appendices of the novel The Lord of the Rings.
The appendices. Okay,
Oh,
so
so-
I can give it.
Doesn't that
a
mean there's
little
not
bit
a
of
lot of
credit.
details and they're gonna fill in?
More than likely, but
Is this live action?
Oh,
so
Because the
No, it's
director
animated.
is.
maybe that's good.
I was gonna say the director has a bunch of anime credits, so that's gonna
Yo,
be
is it
interesting
gonna
to
be
see.
anime?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's gonna be interesting to see it in a different format, but again, we kind of have this mad respect for the original three and a little bit of respect, very little respect for The Hobbit, and anything beyond that has kind of been a bastardization of J.R.R. Tolkien and his work. Zach's like, whoa, he said the thing.
Seth said a naughty word.
Bastardization.
Yeah, it's a big word for Elmo.
Like, ization is not a bad word. So it's like half good word.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Lord of the Rings?
I hope it does well. I think this has better chance than The Rings of Power, because I watched The Rings of Power.
I agree.
I want
I
to say
agree.
you're right, and hopefully because it has some source material, they'll do something good with it, as opposed to the Rings of Power, where they, sure. What about the next one, Mufasa, the Lion King?
Ryan
Josh.
the nostalgia train.
Well,
Just quit riding it.
is there a story here? I mean, they could maybe this is a chance to make an original story. Maybe.
Doubt.
This is just as much nostalgia train as anything else, Seth.
Yeah. Why not make a different story about a non-feline character? I don't know.
You forget
it is-
Hollywood is furry now. They love their lions. They love their tigers.
They love their bears. Oh my.
The cocaine ones too.
Okay, but this is not about Mufasa, at least according to the title or the subtext. Simba, having become king of the Pride Lands, is determined for his cub to follow in his paw prints. See what they did there? While the origins of his late father Mufasa are explored. So yes, it's about his origins, but it's still about Simba and his son.
Really?
This is actually a sequel to the live action. This is interesting because Lion King, the original from back in the day, had its sequels and even its goofy Timon and Pumbaa sequels. But this is a sequel to the live action one that's going off of its own route. And it has like Seth Rogen as Pumbaa. It's that same character base. It's still going off, but it's like a branching off from the story that was established through the animated ones and is going to a new one. So I think that's interesting. That's all I'll say.
What
I'll
worries
watch
me
it.
is that I think the director of this film said Lion King could be turned into a universe like Star Wars. So I
Stop!
hope
It doesn't need to be cinematic. Or it doesn't need to be cinematic. It doesn't need to be a cinematic universe.
No, so I hope they don't go that route. I really hope they're not full out with this. So
Big sigh. Big sigh.
I don't know. I played Mufasa in Lion King Kids, and Will played Scar. So I don't know.
Scratch.
Maybe something will hit my heart. Oh, you call him Scratch?
He was Scratch. He was a little too short to be a full Scar.
You're so funny, Josh.
I'm gonna.
Seth and I broke Pride Rock, so we actually.
I take most of the responsibility for that. If I can find a picture of Will and I in our costumes, I will put it on the video format of the podcast. So we were pretty lit there.
Broke Pride Rock?
Yeah, it was made of foam. Get over it.
That sounds kind of gay to me. Good luck.
Not that kind of pride, Josh.
Moving on. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the
Go
Hedgehog
ahead.
3. Again, we talked about this in our Discord today. Weirdly, those movies have been good. And we've had this discussion on if they made the first live action Sonic to purposefully be ugly and disgusting and had that backup ready to go just for a marketing ploy, because it worked. These Sonic movies have been loved by the fans and even loved by non-fans. I haven't watched them, but I kind of want to. They kind of look lit, and I want to see what they hold, what treasures lie within.
Since they're also Jim Carrey's last movies too, so that has a lot of value there. Because
Is
Jim
he
Carrey
in-
has been like huge in films.
Is he in the third one? It doesn't look like it according to IMDb.
That's why I'm a little nervous for it, because they don't have like their star character. Even though he may not have been the main character per se, but he was like huge in how the whole movie played out. So I think they can still do good now that Jim Carrey's done. I don't know.
That's crazy that his last two movies of his career is Sonic the Hedgehog, and he called it quits after that. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
But the last one, man, his last movie before Sonic was Dark Crimes in 2016, which was more of a not his style of goofy silly, which I've wanted to see just because of that. I think it's interesting when comedy actors go into a role that's not their style. I like Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Not saying it's a good movie. I'm just interested because it's a different tone for the actor. I still think it's funny that was his last movie, Dark Crimes in 2016, and then he hops on Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as Dr. Eggman Robotnik. That was funny. I think it's, yeah. Josh has a point. It got some value because it's Jim Carrey's last movies. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw the first one and had a lot of fun with it. Been meaning to watch the second one. So, I mean, I think it's been some good video game adaptations. I would say Mario is probably better, but Sonic's still pretty good.
Yeah, Idris Elba playing Knuckles is kind of legit, honestly.
I agree. A quick fun fact from the Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Jim Carrey's very last words were "later, hater," and I don't think there is a better phrase that he could have said. So I'm excited for the third one.
On that.
But his last words were "later, hater," and that's Jim Carrey. That's Jim.
Last
Carrey.
words in Hollywood.
Man. All right. This last one, I put Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse on here, but I don't think it's releasing in 2024 because of aspects that they've said. So maybe this is more to pad the runtime of the episode, but Beyond the Spider-Verse, what do you guys think?
It better come out this year. Guys, the first one is my favorite movie of all time. The second one is my second favorite movie of all time.
And the third is Tag.
That's what's weird. It's still Tag, even though I just recently watched it, but it's still up there. And Spider-Man and Beyond the Spider-Verse should hopefully take that third spot if they stay on this trend. Guys, this movie's got to come out this year. I don't know what I'm gonna do if it comes out next year, because 2024 just started. I've got a whole year and then some, because there's no way it releases January 7th next year.
The Wikipedia for Beyond the Spider-Verse is unhelpful. It says, following the conclusion of the strike, the SAG-AFTRA strike in November 2023, Deadline Hollywood reported that the voice recording of the film would resume. I think with the amount of time between Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, unless they were working on them simultaneously, I don't think that we'll have Beyond the Spider-Verse so soon. Unless they ramped up production to an 11, I still think it's going to be a 2025 movie. Sorry, Josh.
Big sad.
Big sad.
Well,
Big
apparently it was awful working conditions for VFX artists for Across the Spider-Verse.
I heard too.
So I'd rather have
And
it
I'd rather
come out
have
in
it
2010 have overworked artists.
Sure. Yep.
The expectations for this movie are way up there. I mean, you know where the first two movies are placed in my favorite movies of all time. This movie's got to be great, and my expectations are way up there. So
What happens? What
take
happens
your
if it's
time
not?
I cry. That's what happens.
I cry myself to sleep.
They left it on the best cliffhanger in any movie I think I've ever seen. Like, I'm stoked for it. The only other cliffhanger I think that really comes close to it in my head is The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, going into Battle of the Five Armies. I think that's great. It's up there with The Hobbit, which I also
With Ed
think
Sheeran?
is great.
Ed Sheeran too?
Oh, it's the eye of the mountain below. What a good song.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's
Well-
a really good cliffhanger.
Well, I love the first Spider-Verse movie. I've got a poster behind me right now. And
Yeah,
I
you
thought,
do.
yeah, thank you. And I thought the second one, I mean, it was a good movie, but it seemed like a great bridge between two even greater movies, if that makes any sense. And so I'm really, my expectations are really high for this third one. And I think if it goes well, this could be the greatest superhero trilogy of all time. So
100% agree. Guys, I'm so excited thinking about it.
All right, we're now gonna talk about TV shows, and we're gonna make this quick because we're running out of time. I've listed the shows from least excitement to most excitement. So we're kind of gonna rush through the first few, and we'll get to the end. First up for shows, Creature Commandos. Zach, you told me to add this. What is it?
yes, it's DC. I think it's the first project coming out in James Gunn's universe. I think Superman Legacy is technically going to be the start of it, but this is still coming out before, and it's an animated series. It's got David Harbour, and it's got Sean Gunn and a couple other actors, and I think it's kind of like another Suicide Squad in a way, but more like monsters. So could be interesting.
Okay.
It's coming out on Max, so I don't know if I'll actually see it. But
And here, finally, we get to our first Disney Marvel production of all of 2024. and this is only because I wanted to list this first because I'm least excited for it. Agatha, House of Harkness, is apparently releasing this year.
I don't know if that's still the title, but
Isn't it? It was the title.
they've changed the title like 3 times now. So.
Darkhold
I
Diaries,
don't know.
my bad. Agatha Darkhold Diaries. Yeah, don't expect much from it. Disney Plus.
I don't know why this show exists.
Yeah, no, it's
So
only
why?
because some people like the Agatha song. It was Agatha all along. Like, yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, she was fun too, so I kind of get it. But
I kind of liked what Catherine Hahn had to bring to the character, but I don't think it was written well. Not an actor's fault. X-Men 97. Zach, I think you kind of have been waiting for this. I don't have a history with the X-Men. I know that was kind of the thing of it being the old style of the X-Men show, but what do you think?
I've only seen 2 episodes of the original show, so
Okay.
this isn't one I don't have much experience with it. So
I'm kind of stoked. I love the X-Men. So does my newfound brother-in-law. So we've watched quite a few of the movies and some of the old episodes as well. I'm
Okay.
kind of stoked to see what they do, but purely just by me of seeing all the other ones and liking them more than average. I can say that I am a fan of them, and I'm stoked to see what these ones have to offer too.
I know X-Men 97 has a big fan base behind it because of nostalgia again. So some people really like it. Probably the Marvel nerds who haven't given up for some reason. So we'll see how that goes. Penguin, set in the Batman universe, not Batman, not whatever else. Probably, I mean, it is Colin Farrell. Again, spin-off. Why riding the tailcoat of Batman, or I should say the cape, coat, tail, whatever. I think Colin Farrell did great in the Batman. Does he need a whole show? Probably not. But if they can do something cool with it, go for it. Don't care. Batman, Caped Crusaders. Zach, what is that about?
okay, so
Okay.
okay, I'm a big fan.
Let me learn you something.
I'm a big fan of like the original Batman the Animated Series and Justice League cartoons. I don't know if anyone's seen those, but that's top tier DC right there. I mean, it's better than many of the movies we've had. So, and this series is being made by the creator of Batman the Animated Series and all those other shows from the 90s and J.J. Abrams. And this one's actually going to be on Prime Video. I don't know how Max lost it, but it's going to Prime Video now, and I'm just really excited to see. And it's going to be geared more toward adults, I think, too, so that could make it interesting. So I'm excited.
Cool. I think people are starting to realize the value in animation, and I appreciate that for no reason at all.
Hey, what's
Wait,
your degree?
hang on. Don't you have a degree?
Do I? Oh, no, I do.
Can't be.
No, I do have a degree in animation. That you're right. Thank you.
No way. I didn't know that.
Really?
Oh,
All right.
also, I'm just going to throw this one in. Spider-Man freshman year, which now got renamed to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, is scheduled to release November of this year.
Okay, I did see that one. I was gonna add it to the list. I didn't think it was. I thought it got pushed to 2025. That's why I didn't include it.
Okay, so
But if you think it's November, then sure, cool.
I just
More
googled
Spider-Verse.
it until mid-November. So
More Spider-Man stuff.
Gotta trust
we
Google.
love it.
Gotta trust
with
Google.
with Charlie Cox as Daredevil and Doc Ock and
Speaking of Charlie Cox,
hey,
Oh my God.
next up. Actually, we probably should talk about Echo first, because that's
Yeah, how is Echo working?
on the
Because
9th.
I'm confused for how. If you can just quickly give me a rundown for how Echo's working, because as far as I'm aware, listening to like the Daredevil episode, which you guys should totally listen to, by the way, plug.
There you go. Plugging it.
That's like Daredevil came out, and then it was basically
Daredevil did
post-mortem.
not come out. Daredevil is very straight. He is a straight man. He is heterosexual. Daredevil did not come out.
He's Catholic.
I love that.
Hilarious.
The
I love it, I love
Daredevil
that.
show released.
Yeah, whatever. But the show was released, and then post-mortem, it was basically like incorporated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, into MCU, because it was so popular. And so, like, is Echo, like, basically after all of that now? And now it's, like, basically, like, more or less set within, like, the Daredevil base, but it's still within the MCU universe?
Echo was introduced in Hawkeye, but she has ties to Kingpin. Daredevil was always implied to be part of the MCU, but now since Spider-Man No Way Home, and unfortunately She-Hulk, he has become part of the MCU officially, and Kingpin has also because of Daredevil. So, and now this is continuing Echo's story from Hawkeye, and, you know, as I said, she's got heavy ties to Kingpin, and Daredevil is also going to be involved in the story.
So this is basically just, like, her getting revenge on Kingpin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, in order to watch Echo and actually even comprehend what's going on, you need to have watched Daredevil, the Netflix show, Hawkeye, an unrelated show, She-Hulk, the worst show ever made.
No, you don't have to watch She-Hulk to understand.
Don't watch She-Hulk. Please don't watch She-Hulk.
Well, you don't need to.
It's the TV show of TV shows. That is what Marvel is. Technically the TV show of movies, but now it's the TV show of TV shows and movies, where you need to have watched other things in order to understand.
Well, for the most part, too, unless you're watching, like, Endgame, they do a pretty good job at explaining characters that have been introduced in previous films. So, I think Echo could be enjoyed by casual fans. I mean, I don't know for sure yet because it's not out, but I don't think you'll have to watch all of Daredevil to understand it. So.
Well, you've seen all of Daredevil, so you're assuming, yeah. I don't know. I think the gripe that I have is that I didn't appreciate how Hawkeye ended because only the true comic fans know that Kingpin is not dead, and that I don't think you should make a movie for only a certain core audience to understand something, and the rest are left completely in the dark. Because watching the end of Hawkeye, it's very obvious that Kingpin is dead. She shot him in the face. You're not supposed to know the comics to appreciate a movie, and now he's going to show up in Echo, and he's already shown up in the trailer. Like, it's obvious he's not dead. And people are like, what? Maybe this is me not knowing the comics, and I if I weren't a nerd who watched behind the scenes and explanations of stuff, I would be very lost. But it isn't a good filmmaking technique to do that to your audience.
Well, I mean, it's just a surprise twist that a character's not actually dead that we see in anything else. You don't.
But everything pointed to it. Everything pointed to it, and basically told you that he was dead because his face exploded from a gunshot.
We didn't see it though. It panned up before we didn't actually see the shot happen.
Oh my!
No body, no crime.
You just had an aneurysm.
I can't.
If you don't see it, he's not dead. Rule of movie.
That shouldn't be how.
Why do you think
it works.
I survived for so long?
Whatever.
Movies work because if you don't see the body, then they're probably not dead. So
I think the most interesting part of Echo is that it's mature rated. Basically R for TV shows that Disney has not done yet, except for Deadpool, which is coming out later this year. It could be interesting to see Disney maturity, because Disney maturity could be very different than anything else we've seen. It looks gruesome, so be prepared if you plan on watching that. It looks like it's returning to the original Daredevil style from Netflix. That might be a good sign. Not saying gore is good, but maturity and realism could play a part in the role in the show, and that also rolls into Daredevil Born Again. I'll just rope this in. We've talked about Daredevil in a whole episode and our concerns with the future of Daredevil, whether the Netflix shows are part of the canon or not. We'll have to see. I know Echo is going to lead into Daredevil because Daredevil is supposed to show up he's in the trailer of Echo. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping for the best. This could be an upturn in story. I have my doubts because I was hopeful last year for things like Quantumania, and I was sorely disappointed.
Question: have we ever done an episode on how to effectively kill off a character?
No, I have an episode planned called the something about death, insignificance of death. And Josh, you actually dibs that one.
I did dibs that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the topic I love to talk about.
Yeah,
I got an interesting exception to that. I'm gonna tell you guys because I think it's great. Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Oh yeah, Darth Maul worked, but
no, I'm gonna.
Darth Maul worked.
But the thing is, though, then he becomes like almost too alive. So
we're not talking about it now.
We're not talking about.
He's too cool. He's too.
Josh.
Anyways. The episode.
That's it. We're done.
I actually think that's going to be a fire episode. I think that's going to be a fire episode when we get to it. We got to finish this off with possibly this.
Wait.
Okay.
I didn't get to talk about Daredevil. Let me talk about Daredevil, Seth.
Sorry.
I mean, I think the Echo trailer actually has me more excited for Daredevil Born Again, just if they're telling these grittier, more down-to-earth stories as we saw in the Echo trailer. Again, like I said in the Daredevil episode, if She-Hulk shows up at all, I'm gonna spoon out my eyeballs. So
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm really hoping they continue from where season 4 or season 3 left off, but I don't think that's likely.
I don't think.
I think it's good still. I think it could still be good.
Yeah, I think it's coming at a good time where they're reevaluating how Marvel is pointed. They've been realizing that this ain't working. And hopefully they caught it in time to actually make some good decisions. And they stopped production on Daredevil Born Again to do this, to reevaluate. And so I hope that made some good changes and brought on some people who know what they're doing. And we talked about the implications of a 4th season entitled Born Again in our Daredevil episode, so go listen to that. Do I have permission to move on, Zach?
Yes, now you do.
Okay. If this were a movie, if this last one, then we're done. This has been a long episode. I'm glad we did a 2-parter because there's a lot to talk about. If this TV show was a movie, I would pin it for the only billion-dollar movie this year. This TV show has stolen the heart of Josh, myself, my sister, and many others.
It's so good.
Arcane Season 2 is coming out later this year. There was even a trailer released just yesterday.
Hoot hoot. That's a hoot hoot if I've ever heard.
There actually was a trailer? Oh,
Yes.
man, I gotta watch this now.
Not a trailer. It was a teaser.
Okay. You're getting my hopes up on high now.
They're keeping the same look. Obviously, that's what makes it. That's part of the charm of Arcane, is how it looks. I've expressed my concerns about how they proceed with the story when it comes to characters like Vander. Apparently, in the games, Vander has a variant where he's a zombie and comes back as a monster, kind of like
Warwick is what the character's name is.
He becomes like a werewolf thingy.
Warwick.
It's like a werewolf. It's kind of like a Tombstone character from DC, where he's just kind of a zombie, but he's not out of his own mind.
Grundy.
Yeah, Solomon Grundy. Tombstone Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
Okay. You nerds, you geeks, whatever. I know there's a difference, but you do your thing.
Neeks.
I'll head out.
Gerd.
That's gonna become like my joke now.
Needs and Gurks.
I think Arcane has the first season had a very accurate view of how to treat women in leading roles, not making it all about their womanhood, but also not ignoring it. It had great themes about fatherhood, and we talked about this in our Arcane episode, which you should listen to again. I might go listen to it again. Josh gets really passionate about this.
I love it. I love this show.
I am hoping for season 2 that they maintain the neutrality that they had in season 1. Not out in your face messages about climate change or homosexuality or anything like that. There could be a theme with Vi and Caitlin and their relationship that they'll explore that I hope stays toned down.
In the game, I do believe they are a couple. I don't know if the show will play into that at all, and I'm nervous of it.
Will.
But
I don't know why
sure
the show
they will,
because they seem to be pointing to that pretty.
Although
obviously.
I do see them trying to focus more on the direction of Vi and Jinx in that relationship, because that was what everyone was looking for in the first season. They loved everything with fatherhood, and they even any essay or essay video that I watched on Arcane was talking about Vi and Jinx, and then Vander and Silco. Caitlyn wasn't really mentioned. I don't see them leaning into it much. I will eat my words once it comes out, if I have to.
My hope is that because of neutrality, or they're just not really leaning one way or the other, with themes of femininity and the little bit of Vi and Caitlin's relationship they talked about, and fatherhood, where they seem to be riding the line of very middle ground. I just hope that they keep on that and don't fall to the pressure. Like when they started production and they wrote the story and all that, it was a pretty small production. It took them years to make. Now it's gained
6
so
years.
much. Yeah, it's gained so much focus that I feel like they could have been bought out, is the best term I can use. It sounds conspiratorial, but people who say you don't get our money if you don't include this or something like that. That's my only concern behind the scenes, that will result in a very outright and uninteresting message. But I'm interested to see it for a possibly good story and amazing visuals and amazing music. I forget about the soundtrack. It's so good.
It's so good.
Very well timed.
There was
Guns
a
for
reason
Hire?
that Imagine Dragons was trending too. Enemy was the hardest intro to any TV show ever.
100%. Also, Guns for Hire, amazing song as well.
I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to do the intro for season 2. That's going to be vibes.
Who I want to get in there? I want Coldplay to go to town on it.
Ooh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
That would be good.
Okay,
Watch
this
them
is just
get
a
someone
thing.
like Shawn Mendes.
This is a thing just for Josh. Imagine if there's like an NF soundtrack or something like that in there. I think that'd be interesting just
I'd
for
die.
Josh.
I just tried. I couldn't. I
I'd
don't
pass
think my
away.
heart could handle that. I don't think my heart could handle that.
Man.
But if they had like clouds as the intro, like
I don't know that it'd be Clouds, but any NF song, or even just have Tommy Prophet write one of the soundtrack lines.
Yeah.
Like, that
Dude.
I would just melt. Just
I genuinely don't think that I could physically handle that. Like if NF or Tommy Prophet did the intro for Arcane Season 2, my favorite music and my favorite TV show, and like top 3 stories of all time that I've ever watched or digested besides the Bible, is I don't think I could take it. Guys, that would be awesome. And Will, I hate that you gave me that idea because now I need it, I think. But
You're welcome.
Maybe I can get Seth to give me a degree in animation sort of thing made, or whatever. Have him animate an intro with NF music.
here you go, Josh. I'll just hand that to you.
Oh,
Gotcha.
got it.
All right.
Got it.
Cool.
Save it for later.
Guys, I have a confession to make.
You haven't seen Arcane.
I haven't seen Arcane, no.
You need to.
Sorry, Mom.
I don't want to. I don't want to pay
was
for
really
Netflix, so.
That's fair. That's fair.
I will.
No.
I will give you my Netflix password and account if you watch this show.
Okay.
Surprise outro. It's been a long episode. Goodbye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Peace out, brethren.
Not even
Hasta
giving you a chance
luego.
to react. See you next week.